Hello, the Pioneer readers. How are you doing? I hope you're healthy and well. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring you the latest on the Russia-Ukraine war. In a moment, we will discuss the latest situation on the front line. We are observing a very active front line today. According to reports, units of the Russian armed forces are back on the offensive west of Avdiivka. We will also analyze the latest situation in these offensives. There is also new activity of the Russian armed forces on the Kherson front line. Did this activity bring results? Of course not. But let's put it this way. The statements of Sergei Shoigu, who made a statement about the Kherson front line, were refuted in about an hour, and images related to the fact emerge. So Russia was disgraced again. So what is the latest situation on the front line? Let's examine it together. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring you developments regarding Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. I also read all your comments on our videos. Please continue to express your opinion about our content in the comments. Let us start if you are ready. The Pioneer reports. Let's start with the Kherson front line. First of all, I want to share with you that please don't believe the sources that share Sergei Shoigu's claims about Krinky, because the Russian leadership is facing a major crisis because of Shoigu's allegations. Sergei Shoigu claimed that the Russian army captured Krinky during the regular offensives. Of course, this claim created a great shock in the whole public opinion. However, Shoigu's statements were not followed by any visual confirmation. Later, sources in the Ukrainian armed forces announced that Krinky is still hosting Ukrainian troops. As we have reported many times before, war is a process and this must be won psychologically. Sergei Shoigu actually tried to do that, but it failed. The Russian offensives is still going on in the direction of Krinky, but Krinky is still under the control of the Ukrainian army. Let's continue with the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Krinky and Avdiivka. In turn, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted units of the Russian armed forces stations in Oleshki, Pecheniivka and Poima. Let's continue by analyzing the latest developments on the Zaporizhia front line. As we mentioned, the activity on the Zaporizhia front line has increased dramatically. According to the latest reports, on the Zaporizhia front line, Russian troops supported by long-range weapons carried out offensive operation on the western outskirts of the village of Robotino. They also attacked this settlement from the direction of Novoprokopivka. We can say that the complete encirclement of the town of Robotin is only a matter of time. Despite all the attacks of the Russian army, there are still units of the Ukrainian armed forces resisting. But how sustainable is this? First of all, the sustainability of the Ukrainian armed forces in the town needs to be improved. Perhaps the possibility of deploying parts of the Azov battalion here should also be considered, because the fall of the town would be a disaster for the Ukrainian army. The town of Robotin is a place identified with the Ukrainian army's counteroffensives. Therefore, it has moral significance. If the Ukrainian armed forces are going to launch a new counteroffensive, they should keep Robotin and maintain the moral superiority. Otherwise, there will be devastating consequences. On the other hand, the Russian armed forces also carried out offensive actions in the direction of Verbov. During these offensives, the Russian armed forces made small tactical advances over a large area. However, the position of the Ukrainian troops still remains advantageous. However, the intensity of the Russian offensives in this area is likely to increase in the coming days. Let's continue with the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted units of the Ukrainian armed forces stations in Robotin, Orekhiv, Malayotokmakcha and Vasiliivka. On the other hand, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted units of the Russian armed forces stations in Novoprokopivka, Verbov, Kopany, Irchenkov and Solotka Balka. Let's continue by analyzing the latest developments on the Donetsk front line. According to reports, following the shelling, units of the Russian armed forces went on the offensives in Novomikhailivka and Gorogorivka. They also carried out offensive operations in the Permovskoye area. We can say that the situation in Novomikhailivka is somewhat problematic for the Ukrainian army. However, there are no significant changes on the borderline yet. On the other hand, the assault units of the Russian armed forces managed to advance through the forested areas and reach the village of Lostochkino. This village is of great importance for the crossing a number of transportation arteries. A water obstacle is approaching in the form of the Dureya Balka River and cascade of the ponds located in this area. Russian attacks in this area are likely to increase, and some sources even claim that the Russian troops have captured the town of Pobeda. However, there are no confirmed reports in this issue yet, so we don't provide any clear information here. Let's continue with the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Ukrainian armed forces positions in the Konstantinivka, Krasnogorovka, town of New York, and in turn, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted positions of the Russian armed forces in Marinka, Donetsk, and the village of Krasnogorovka. Now let's continue with the Bakhmut front line. There are also some problems on the Bakhmut front line. According to reports, in the Bakhmut direction, the Russian armed forces, supported by long-range weapons, carried out offensive actions in the hills northwest of Klishchivka near Ivaniivsky, in the Bogdanivka and Vaminka area. In the vicinity of Vyemka, we can speak of the slight advances of units of the Russian armed forces. Until recently, there were positional battles here. In general, this section corresponds to the road to Seversk. Let's continue with the artillery activity in the area. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Ukrainian armed forces units in Kasov Yar, Avdiivka and Rozdolovka. In turn, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted Russian armed forces units stations in Bakhmut, Khoromov and Yahidny. Let's briefly touch on the Luhansk front line. According to the latest reports, Russian troops on the Luhansk front line tried to advance near Vologorivka, Turskoy and Tarniv, and after this shelling. There were also intense clashes near Tabaivka. However, no border changes have been reported so far, and the Ukrainian artillery units are also somewhat idle in the region. In contrast, Russian artillery targeted Ukrainian armed forces positions in Shorobyanka and Nelsky. So, what do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian army will benefit from the refutation of the Shoigu's claims, or do you think that the Russian army can advance in Krinky? What do you think about the latest situation on the Zaporizhia front line? Let me know in the comments, because I read and I care about all your comments.